Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this lovely Spiritual Thursday. I'm your host, Veteran Mountain Man, and today, by popular request, we are going to discuss something that might seem a little bit out of phase, but realistically, it ties in, and I'll kind of bring it back around when I do, and that is rites of passage. So, the question becomes, how does a kid know when they're an adult? Well, in the 1400s, they were seen as lads and ladies and young people up until around the age of 16. Prior to that, ancient Rome, young men would be married as old as 13 and be serving in the legion at 15. And even in Samaria, ancient Egypt, and the original Jerusalem empires, 16 was the average age of a standing member of military service to their nation state and their ruler, whether it be a pharaoh, a king, whatever. It didn't really matter what they called the person. It only mattered that they were an adult. And in many of these cases, it was because these children had gone through their rites of passage. And these rites of passage are more than just symbolic. They truly are an activity that influences the psyche when they are becoming an adult. One such rite of passage that's still practiced somewhat in the United States is teaching a young boy to fish. Another rite of passage is the Sweet 16 birthday party for young ladies, and the getting the right to go to get their learner's permit to drive at 15, and then possibly getting their license at 16, and becoming 18 and getting to vote. These are rites of passage, but these are societal rites of passage. And there are very few real personal rites of passage anymore that aren't codified in law, that are cultural. And it's been part of our downward cultural spiral away from specific tribal identity beliefs. A common practice in the Amazon rainforest is a young man has to prove that he can endure the pain of the bullet ants. And a primary practice amongst Hebrews were the bar mitzvah. And you have these ideas, these stages of development and these rituals. And these rituals were not just for symbolic purposes. They also indicated to the rest of society when you had to change the treatment of that individual. And now we're kind of losing that. I mean, there are still some very, very prominent, hard rites of passages that are out there. One of them being the completion of initial entry training for military service. It's still held as a hard belief set in most Western cultures. Once you've completed that entry training, you are a defender of your nation. You are a sheepdog, as it's put, defending those who would be attacked by the wolves. But this is a very small portion of our population that are actually undergoing these. So what I would like to encourage, especially for those of you that are out there, and especially even my urban primitives following me here on Minds, on YouTube, on VidMe, wherever you're getting me from, create a rite of passage for your children. Take them out and teach them very cogent, very hard, very living facts about life. And then get them to show that they understand and interpret and can follow those facts. Because the action of that rite of passage will instill a pride and a unity and a tribal significance for that child. It is something that is hard. It is something that is tangible. It is something that can be a stalwart foundation for the introductory into the real world and life. It tells them that it's time to put away the childish things and to step forward to this new evolution in life. Now, I also want you to be careful in taking this advice. We need to make sure that the children who are undergoing these things can handle them. And you also need to make sure that what you're doing is not abusive. I mean, I would personally never condone sticking a 15-year-old kid's hands in woven mittens with bullet ants. I just don't condone that. But taking them out to do a solo in the woods for a single night? Sure, I'll condone that. After I've taught them how to do it. See, that's one of those things that scouting still does. And it's one of those things that helps create that rite of passage system in the scouts, which helps create well-balanced, well-understood, well-adjusted individuals for society. So it's time that we quit ignoring these kids and sticking them in front of the boob tube to educate themselves. We need to actually start being a bit more proactive as individuals and as a society. And I know I'm going to be. I'm going to be taking a young child here soon. Well, he's a young man at this point. He's just turned 10. Out to teach him how to cast a fishing reel. How to cast a line with a hook and all the appropriate tackle into a running stream and pull a trout out. And once I teach him how to do that, he'll be one step closer to being a man because he can start to feed himself. And it will be an awe-inspiring thing for him. He's already excited to learn this. He wants to do it all by himself, and it's creating a push in him to stop playing with childish things and to start moving towards being something new and stable and strong. Well, I want to thank you all again for joining me. I also want to remind you that unapologeticpagan.com is where you can catch this podcast, initially broadcast every week. All of my archives are up there. I do answer comments. I am just a guest speaker here. This is just my video blog, and this is just one segment of my video blog. But this is one that is important for Unapologetic Pagan as a website. I also have my own YouTube channel and my own VidMe channel, as well as a Patreon account. And if you're coming from Unapologetic Pagan to come watch me on my YouTube, please don't forget them. They're good people. Keep going through their site. They've got some great content coming up and some even new stuff coming up. Once again, if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on VidMe, please upvote and follow. Feel free to share these with your friends, family, co-workers, loved ones, children, if you're grandparents. It might help. Thank you all again, and have a spiritual Thursday.